Hello and welcome to another 7 stories in 7 minutes. I really hope you've been enjoying them so far. I've certainly enjoyed hugely putting them out. If you like them, please share them. So story 1 today, NHS waiting list. Well, we all know that the waiting list was 18 months and then they promised 18 weeks. Hooray, everybody thought. No, because it's become conditional. And it's become conditional on many having to lose weight, or many having to prove that they've stopped smoking in order to qualify for treatment. And we know too that trusts have been paid a huge amount of money, to take people deliberately off the waiting list. So all of these figures are completely manipulated. And I was shocked to read this report, which says that even though there's a push to reduce the waiting list and impose restrictions on people, actually we've got fewer people on the waiting list, but the waiting list is longer? How does that work? So currently there are 7.37 million treatments waiting to be carried out. That was at the end of June. That's 7.37 million to 6.23 million patients compared, I know there's a lot of figures here, but compared to 7.36 million treatments on the same amount of patients, 6.23 million patients. So ask yourself, if the NHS have got so many problems with their waiting lists, why are we all being asked to go in and test for things when we're all perfectly healthy? Story 2. Now this is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek story, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention because future world, is this fiction or could this be fact? Oxygen tax. Are you going to actually be paying a tax on the air that you breathe? Well, they seem to think that it's a possibility. What they're saying is that the EU Climate Control Agency, known affectionately as the Carbon Police, have introduced proposals to tax the air we breathe. And what they say is that maybe if that came about, they would get everybody over the age of 18 to pay their due amount on a quarterly basis. I mean, is this science fiction or is this science fact? And you know what, to be honest, in the world we're living in, anything kind of goes, right? Story 3, another serious story, assisted dying. We've talked a lot about this. And ahead of the next debate, which is going to be in the Lords this month, the Nuffield Trust seem to be anticipating how it's all going to work out, like it's a done deal, like it's now law. So what they've done is they've been busy careering around the world, talking to other countries who also implement assisted dying. And it's a big paper. And what I'd say is please go and read it for yourself, because don't take what I'm saying as truth. Please go and read it for yourself. But it appears from this paper that it's the age group 69 to 80. Those are the people that choose to go for assisted dying, perhaps because of their age, I don't know. 51% of men, 49% of women, so it's a fairly even split. But cancer is the most frequently said as the most common reason for people wanting assisted dying, and bearing in mind the news that we've been putting out, 6 million cancer deaths by 2040, millions of people being cancer tested, you have to ask yourself, why are so many people getting cancer, and why are so many people being tested? Are the tests even reliable? Assisted death at home is the way that they seem to think that people want to go. Not for me. And I want to stay on that theme actually for story 4, because last week I did report that those in control wish to broaden the definition of death and say that if somebody is irreversibly brain dead, irreversibly, they could be deemed dead, and then they would go straight to the operating theatre, because don't forget, organs that get taken out of live people, not dead bodies. They go straight to the operating theatre, have their organs harvested, and then they'd go to the mortuary. And I just wanted to show you actually coma. What is coma? And if you haven't watched that film, 1978 Coma, please do. Quite concerning. But meet little Lucas. When he was 17, Lucas Home from Nottinghamshire, he suffered a really severe brain bleed at the age of 17. He was in a coma for 4 months. 4 months before he woke up. And then he was in a recovery home for 3 years. And what I'm saying is that with the legislation and what they seem to be wanting to do, broadening this definition of death to harvest organs, is would Lucas have been given the same chance today as he was back then? And that I don't know. Story 5, let's stay on skinny jabs. Now these are GLP-1 drugs, otherwise known as skinny jabs, and they mimic you, suppressing the appetite, etc. You know, these are the drugs that mainly for diabetes, but people are using them for weight. So I want you to see this report from the King's Fund, because they're actually saying, can we and should we roll them out at scale? And we know that Lawrence Talon from the MHRA has said we can't actually afford to, because the prices are so high. We've been talking about the high price. And to be honest, with this chart that you'll see here, see the line? It just shoots up. It's absolutely rocketed to over 900,000 items prescribed, and these are costing £300 a shot, a treatment. So the pharmaceutical fat cats, they're not skinny, they're fat cats, and they're laughing all the way to the fat bank. And let's not forget, these are very dangerous drugs. And also, let's not forget, kids in Southampton are being prescribed them against advice. Story 6, well, if you've got a criminal history or you've got any form of record, you could be banned from going to football, the pub, or from travelling. You heard, we're a footballing nation, right? But no, apparently now judges are going to be given a new power. So in order to punish offenders, they're going to ban them from the pub, football matches and travelling, and maybe take their driving licences away from them too. This is all part of the government's lock-up scheme, lock-up at home scheme, and lock you away from socialising. And judges having extra powers. What do you think? Story 7. Well, if you haven't been banned from the football match, scans in vans. That's what it's all about. You go for a scan in a van, and this time it's a liver scan. I don't want to go for one either, but you know what? You're going to see these vans everywhere, outside supermarkets, football clubs, your local community centres. You're going to be asked to go for a liver scan, and they're going to be targeting diabetics and those that are overweight. No thanks. No thanks. I'd say hashtag liver off. And that, everybody, is 7 stories in a little over 7 minutes. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you like, please share and keep smiling.